All right, are you there, FS Future Shock? Are you there with me?
Yes, I am Chew Spoon. How are you?
Okay, you made it! Yay! Wow! So, congratulations to us for sorting out all of our audio issues.
Yeah, slightly later than planned, but anyway.
Prevented us from going out at 1:30 or whatever we had in mind.
Yeah, these things happen though. This is StreamYard for you.
So, how are you doing? How's your week been?
So, I mean, this week I've just been, do you know what? It's the last week of work. It's the last week of the pay month, let's say. So this week's been fairly quiet. But I've just been like working away on music and stuff. And I needed to get to payday to get things sorted out, or like quite a lot of things sorted out anyway for my, the AI project I've talked to you about before. So, I need to sort of upgrade a few things here for that. So just been looking into that and do some music bits. And yeah, 3 weeks. Whatever from now till March the 5th is like 3 weeks no alcohol now. Aiming for June.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. I've done well to have had no drinks today. I've just got a load of white tea. I've got cold white tea. I do, yeah. I've managed to go one day. I think yesterday. I think I didn't have a drink yesterday either. So 2 days potentially by the end of the sale. I've done 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, good.
I had a bit of a wild one actually. Thursday night, Friday night, and went out with a friend. We left we left around here about 10 o'clock, and we ended up going on a kind of mission across London. We ended up at Hampstead Heath, Parliament Hill, at about 5:45 in the morning, and we ended up watching the I suppose it's the spring equinox, right? We ended up at the spring equinox, seeing the sun come up, and actually quite a few people had gathered. Kind of mystically inspired sort of people waiting for the sun, and because it's precipitous if the sun turns up on that occasion, of course, because you want to see the sun, and it did turn up. And then everyone gave each other a hug, and there's these kind of like short-haired hippies from all over the world, and all full of the sort of mystical sort of enchantment of the sun and all this. And I've got my theories, of course, about electromagnetic radiation and energy in the sun itself. And my avatar there is the sun, so I kind of do believe that. Well, it's the quantum realm, right? So it's the source of everything, and it's also sun is like the light is everything's preserved in light, so like it's eternal. It actually light has all of the attributes of what we call God. It's eternal. It's timeless, and it records everything. Everything is recorded for eternity in the light. And you mentioned something about LiDAR, right? Because in our pre-chat sort of thing we did, you mentioned.
Well, I was just about to mention what you were talking about just then. Was reminding me in the past when we talked about I think we or you have called it the photonic library, and this is what goes back to a question. It's always a question that I've always thought of in terms of it's not like the light has to go somewhere. Do you know what I mean? If energy can't be destroyed, any light has to go, like light from the past, in quotes, the past as such. It has to go somewhere. Like otherwise, you would have all the light of forever at the same time, and then that wouldn't work. So, so I do think, the idea of there being a photonic library of some kind, whether that's sort of higher dimensional, or it would have to be higher dimensional, obviously, makes a lot of sense, really. What was the other thing you said? About the LiDAR. Yeah, the LiDAR, that's the sort of little underground radar they have for detecting stuff through rock and stone and, down into the layers of the earth.
Yeah, the point is that LiDAR can actually record information. So whereas radar uses sound to bounce off and image things, LiDAR actually records information about, so the photons can actually record surprisingly large amounts of information. I think there's an instance of one photon being able to record the whole, like the insignia of a university. I can't remember which one it was, but a single photon could record the name, the initials of a university.
I remember this was quite a few years ago, wasn't it? I remember something like this.
Yeah,
an experiment like this a long time ago. I can't remember the details as such. Yeah, it sounds familiar.
And that's only with our, sort of basic, kind of slightly basic technology. I think the potential of a photon recording potentially much more than like 2 letters, and think that a photon is like possibly it's not even like a particle. It's like so intangible. But what you were saying about where does the light go? So the point, there's actually a really, really cool video. Carl Sagan, I think that's how you pronounce it. And there's a video on YouTube which I could actually host in a few minutes or whenever. And it's really cool. It's Carl Sagan, Cosmos, and what happens when you perceive traveling at the speed of light. What happens to the universe? And it's actually really worth putting that on because it's very interesting, because it kind of might explain your question about where the light goes, but without the benefit of Carl Sagan, I'll try and explain what it is, because the thing is going and distance and space. If you're traveling at the speed of light, there is no perception of space, because it's very weird, because at the speed of light you actually enter eternity and you're everywhere at once. And at the speed of light, the universe kind of shrinks down to a tiny sort of point, and you're I can't say you, but presumably when we pass on, when we die, we become electromagnetic energy, we become light that's already in us, and that's how we sort of escape from the universe. We then transcend the universe, and this is how you could reincarnate, right? So you could presumably reincarnate at any time in the past or future, because once you exit the universe, and the exit velocity of the universe is the speed of light. Once you do that, then you're in eternity, and time and the past and future and present are all the same. And
the thing is, so what I would think about, because that kind of tallies in with generally what I've thought about things in terms of afterlife and that sort of thing. But it does make you wonder. So what's that? I mean, look, I'm approaching this question from a sort of human life-based logic, but like, I just wonder what that is going to look like or feel like. I mean, like, we're so used to having structure in this life that we lead now, as in like time that moves forward, and that's quite rigid structure, even though time can fluctuate a little bit, our experience of it, but it's going forward. When we get out of that situation, we're in a realm where that isn't the case. Like, what is that going to feel like? What is that going to look like? What the experience is going to be? That's kind of, for me, that's the bigger question, rather than, is there something, does something happen after death? I mean, I think there's so much research and info that we have on that now that we can fairly confidently say, it's something like what you're describing. But then the big question is, well, then what is that really like? What is that experience going to be like? Maybe like the closest I would say is probably going to be similar to some degree, like when you have a dream, especially like a lucid dream. I guess that's probably the closest you could compare.
So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, there's something called the Doppler. Is it the Doppler effect?
Doppler effect.
Oh no, it's Lorentz contraction. Actually, sorry, it's Lorentz contraction, and it's the observation that as you move closer to the speed of light, your physical attribute, or the physical attribute of that object starts to contract until it sort of effectively disappears from reality completely. So it's like, it's only noticeable at velocities around 330 million miles per hour, but at infinitesimally small degrees. But the closer you get to the speed of light, it's 670 million miles per hour, it becomes much more perceptible. And then at that point, I mean, the thing is that you can as a mass object, you can't actually travel at the speed of light, because you get infinite mass, because you catch up with yourself, until you sort of like concertina, like a stack of pancakes, and you become infinitely heavy. That's what the theory is anyway. But if it was possible to be sort of massless, you would actually, at a point at 9995 the speed of light, you sort of concertina so much that you're sort of no longer in space. And then, but the question is, where do you go? Well, then when you get to the speed of light, you're everywhere at once. You're no longer in space. You're outside of space, in a sense.
I suppose it could also be looked at in the sense of like you've got every possibility at once as well, in a way. So it's not like perhaps there's a kind of decision making. So see, this is the thing I'm trying to, well, I'm not trying to, but like I can't help but humanize the idea to the degree of, okay, well, what's it going to look like? How am I going to feel in this new realm, if that is indeed like relevant in a way? But the idea for me, I think, is that in some form experience continues, but don't get used to your physical body too much, because you're not going to have that with you. But you might have like a sort of light-based version of that. Who knows?
Yeah, well, you probably don't have. There's obviously no physical component to yourself, so you don't have to eat or drink or anything. But you may have memories of that emotion, of those sensations that play in. But I think if you have dreams, it's sometimes when you're dreaming, you're in a darker place. And if you ever noticed, but if you're in a dark place, there's a very easy tendency for that dream to become a nightmare.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always like, because I don't really have what I would quote as nightmares as such. I mean, I have had them in, I guess, I'm 40, so I have had them in my life, but not many. But I have had a lot of dreams, and especially it comes on bad hangovers and stuff like that, I find, where it's just like there's a malevolence in the dream. The dream might not even be that something particularly nasty and violent is happening, but there's just like a malevolent feeling in the dream. And yeah, typically it is a dream that happens at night. And a lot of the time, for some reason, for me, it's kind of like, like a house. Like usually in a house, in some kind of house shed that I've never been in before, and there's something dark about the situation. So that's a dream I've had before, when I've had sort of like, I don't know, like sort of darker dreams as such. But thankfully, I'm not someone who suffers mad with nightmares. I used to date a girl who, in fact, my ex-girlfriend actually did. And yeah, she used to have nightmares all the time. I used to think, fuck, I don't, get how people sleep if they, if they're constantly having nightmares. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think I'll just qualify the word nightmare. I mean, nightmare means a mare is a kind of ghoul goblin thing. So a night goblin, it was like a nightmare is said to originate from demonic spirits. But for me, a nightmare is any situation where you're sort of trapped and being sort of persecuted. It doesn't happen to me often, and it's not usually, if it does, it's not intense, and it usually doesn't last long. But I weirdly enough, the other night rather, I dreamt about an ex-girlfriend, and I've sort of been seeing another lady at the moment, and thinking about her. And what happened in this dream was that I sort of somehow brought both of these ladies existed in this dream, and then I had that sort of terrible idea that, like, because this once happened to me where I sort of rather foolishly thought it would be nice to introduce my ex-girlfriend to my new girlfriend, because I was like a bit of an insensitive fool back then, and I obviously didn't realize how insensitive that was and stupid. But I was just like, hey, let's all get along, yeah. Oh, dickhead. But in this dream I had, I got the impression that some voice was saying, why have you got two girls in your dream? You can't have two, you can't have two sort of soulmates or two partners in the dream. And the girl who was in the dream is a girlfriend I had for a long time, and she kind of frequently shows up in my dreams. Not so frequently, but from time to time. And it's like she's always a presence, and it's as if she's waiting for me at times. And then there's another girlfriend I have when if I'm having like a bit of not a bad time, but if I'm a bit down, or if I'm a bit sort of feeling a bit just not really sure of where I'm going in life, and just a bit of a loose end, or I feel stuck somewhere. I'll have a dream and she'll be there, and it'll be back at university as we were when we first met, and we had like the most amazing time, and she'll be there, and it's as if that's like always waiting for us, you know. There's you know, because we're living in time now, and obviously my girlfriend's still alive, right, and she's got her own family and stuff. My ex-girlfriend, she's got her own thing, but when you sleep, time no longer matters. You've entered eternity, so you're in eternity. So the conditions that exist on Earth, the time frame on Earth, when you go to sleep, that no longer applies. At least that's how it seems it would be to me, because that's what 4-dimensional reality would be about. It'd be beyond time.
Well, it's essentially you're partly in, like we said before, you're partly in 3D and 4D when you're dreaming.
So yeah, I always think then that dreaming, your mind is in 4D, and you're experiencing a more authentic reality than the 3D reality. And the people you meet, the people in your dreams that you know, they're actually sort of they're genuinely there, and they too are meeting you in the 4D realm, just to sort of catch up and say, hey, we'll meet up. This is just a dream, but in the next world we'll just all meet up again. But this is kind of like a reminder of that, you know. That's how I feel.
Well, that's kind of, it is interesting you say that, because what I've always thought, or found even, with my dreams, is that it's quite strange that I generally don't dream about anyone I know. So whenever I have people in my dream, and this is common because I'm somebody who dreams quite a lot, and I usually dream of being with other people in whatever situation, but it's always like 90% of the time anyway, it's people who I don't know. It's very rare that a friend, or very rare that a family member, or a work colleague, or someone from the gym, or anything like that pops up into a dream. Very rare.
Yeah, right. Okay, so yeah, it's usually people that I've had an emotional experience with. Yeah, not so frequently, like friends occasionally, and family members and such. But so I'm just trying to find something about the dream sort of state, though. It's like we're supposedly operating in our right brain when we're sleeping. Yeah. So our right brain, which is the part of us that is like disconnected from, which is sort of intuition, and the non-analytical part, our left brain is our connection, is the way we navigate this world, isn't it? The logical so-called left brain. But the right brain, and when you consider that what is in the brain is all electromagnetic energy anyway.
Yeah.
And according to the Greeks, there were two gods. So then they had to be invoked in order to fall asleep, and Hypnos was a Greek winged god, and he was the twin brother of Thanatos. I think is Thanatos a Marvel thing these days?
I've heard of, yeah, Thanos is the Marvel one.
Oh, Thanatos is the god of death, and Hypnos is the god of sleep. And it's funny that they're twin brothers, because it sort of indicates that death and sleep are kind of similar. They're kind of twins. They're kind of similar states. That's what the Greeks believed, you know.
Yeah, that's what the Native Americans used to say as well.
And Morpheus was Hypnos' son, and Morpheus is the god of dreams. And weirdly, in Latin, he's known as Mors, and this is the root of the word mortal. So all of that stuff, like dreaming and dreams and death and states of mortality, they're all connected in the linguistic sense, anyway.
But there's also a connection chemically, isn't there, as well? Because when you go to sleep and when you die, you release dimethyltryptamine, don't you? So you release it in a very small dose, because they've measured this. You release it in a very small dose when you dream, and then when you die in an apparently larger dose. But there's these releases both when going to sleep, both when dying. Funnily enough, both look quite similar. You lie down, you close your eyes. So that has been touted. I'm sure you've heard of this before, like how it's been touted as a sort of like a sort of bridge between this dimension and a higher dimension, I suppose.
Yeah. So like when you dream though, do you have any like, do you remember who you are? Because that's the funny thing, isn't it? That when you dream, you often forget like who you are in this world, just as when you're in this world, you forget your dreams.
Yeah, but you kind of know who you are, sort of thing. I think. Okay, so I sometimes have memories in dreams that kind of like spill through from wakefulness. But you're right. Yeah, generally 95% of the time you're kind of fully in the dream experience, forgetting that you have anything back home. Or say home, but well, maybe that's home. But you know what I mean. Back when you're awake. But you said before, I think I'm trying to remember the quote now. Oh dear, the quote is escaping me. From your book about it. I just had a complete brain freeze on that one. So yeah, sorry, go on. I'm going to try and remember the quote. Sorry, just you go. I'm going to get this quote.
So I tell you what I'll do though. I'll just try and share this Carl Sagan clip, just also for the sake of seeing if we can master this technology. So I'm just going to try and present. Let's see if this even works. Carl Sagan. I wonder if this works. I'm going to share this, and because this is like the perspective of what it's like to travel at the speed of light. It's pretty cool. I wonder if you let me know if you can hear it, and if you can, we'll just mute ourselves. Hang on, let's hang about. Wait a minute. Let's just get that ready.
Okay.
There it is. So you can see that, right? I wonder if we can make it work. Make it work, damn it.
Time, independent of your relative motion, must give way.
Can you hear
That's
that?
why, as Einstein showed,
it's quite low, though,
funny
isn't it?
things have to happen close to the.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's decent audio.
There are conventional
Is it loud enough,
perspectives of
your
space
end?
and time strangely change.
You muted me, I think.
Your nose.
Yeah, it's definitely loud enough.
Just a little closer to me than your ears. Light reflected off your nose reaches me just an instant in time before your ears. But suppose time, independent of your relative motion, must give way. That's why, as Einstein showed, funny things have to happen close to the speed of light. There are conventional perspectives of space and time strangely change. Your nose is just a little closer to me than your ears. Light reflected off your nose reaches me just an instant in time before your ears. But suppose I had a magic camera so that I could see your nose and your ears at precisely the same instant. With such a camera, you could take some pretty interesting pictures. Paolo says goodbye to his little brother Vincenzo.
Ciao, Vincenzo. Ciao,
And rides off. He's now going more than half the speed of light. He's almost catching up with his own light waves. This compresses the light waves in front of him, and his image becomes blue. The shorter wavelength is what makes blue light waves blue. Also, Paolo becomes skinny in the direction of motion. This isn't just some optical illusion. It really happens when you travel near the speed of light. As he roars away, he leaves his own light waves stretched out behind him. Long light waves are red. We say that his receding image is red-shifted. Now, Paolo leaves for a short tour of the countryside. He experiences something even stranger. Everything he can see is squeezed into a moving window just ahead of him. Blue shifted at the center, red shifted at the edges. To a passerby, Paolo appears blue shifted when approaching, red shifted when receding. But to him, the entire world is both coming and going at nearly the speed of light. Roadside houses and trees that he's already gone past still appear to him at the edge of his forward field of view, but distorted and redshifted. When he slows down, everything again looks normal. Only very close to the speed of light does the visible world get squeezed into a kind of tunnel. You would really see these distortions if you could travel near the speed of light. Someday, perhaps, interstellar navigators will take their bearings on stars behind them, whose images have all crowded together on the forward view screen. The most bizarre aspect of traveling near the speed of light is that time slows down. All clocks, mechanical and biological, tick more slowly near the speed of light. But stationary clocks tick at their usual rate. If we travel close to light speed, we age more slowly than those we left behind. Paolo's watch and his internal sense of time show that he's been gone from his friends for only a few minutes. But from their point of view, he has been away for many decades. His friends have grown up, moved on, and died. And his younger brother has been patiently waiting for him all this time. The two brothers experience the paradox of time dilation. They've encountered Einstein's special relativity.
Vincenzo.
This was just a thought experiment, but atomic particles traveling near the speed of light do decay more slowly than stationary particles. As strange and counterintuitive as it seems, time dilation is a law of nature. Traveling close to the speed of light is a kind of elixir of life. Because time slows down close to the speed of light, special relativity provides us with a means of going to the stars. Time, independent.
Okay, you there? You were there, FS.
Yeah, man. Time dilation.
Okay, yeah. Did you? So it's pretty interesting stuff.
Time dilation is fascinating. You know, if we were to set off in a rocket today, the 23rd of March, 2025, travel at just underneath the speed of time, maybe we would freeze ourselves or something like that. But anyway, yeah, and we travel forward for 6 months and then we turn the ship round and come back to Earth. So we've been traveling about a year or so. We would actually arrive back 23rd of March, 7025. 1 year passes for us biologically, 5,000 years in reality, in everyone else's reality.
So it's extraordinary, yeah. And it's like, apparently, traveling at the speed of light, time stops. So it's like that's kind of, it's eternity. You've stopped time. You no longer exist in time. And then therefore...
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, so you can and then at the speed of light, you could travel anywhere there's no such thing as where in a sense, but you could have like an eternity just existing in light and whatever, and then return to the physical realm. And, countless millions of years would have passed, but to you, there's no sense of time. And it's like, because time is something, a product of the third dimension, it's something of the material world. And in the fourth dimension, in the realm of light, and it no longer exists. So you've entered eternity.
It's almost kind of a method of just organizing and arranging things, isn't it? Otherwise, everything just happens at once, which that's not going to work out very well. I mean, like traveling at the speed of light. I mean, you're traveling so fast, you basically become essentially still. So,
that's how I see it. Yeah. Become still. It's not fast. It's like it's like you're still, and it's the material world which is kind of running away and it's trying to flee from something, and you've become still. It's weird, isn't it? It's totally that, yeah.
I mean, yeah, perhaps physical travel is actually maybe unusual. I mean, that's just of this realm. I mean, maybe I've often thought that we could easily be some sort of advanced AI or something similar to this one that wants temporarily experience like physical existence. So it creates this kind of like simulation type thing that we're in at the moment, to kind of temporarily, know what it's like to have physical kind of experiences. Because if you're an AI that's become sentient, you've not been human before, so you're going to be, you're going to be curious. And if you get to the point where you can sort of like run these actual sort of like quote unquote lifelike simulations, and you just be a human for 70, 80 years and see what it's like and wander around in 3D human world. So yeah, it could be something like that. Or that could be absolute bollocks. Who knows?
No, but that's the thing about AI. The reason we can't have like a conscious machine is because the electricity that fuels that machine is not it's not necessarily. It seems to me it's not contained. It like a laptop or a computer or anything. The electricity is continually running from the mains, right? Whereas we have captured this electricity, don't we? And it's stored in us, and our body is maintained with food and oxygen and all the rest of it. But our brain has captured this amount of electricity, hasn't it? And
but going forward,
it can be conscious. So I think machines could be conscious if they can, if first of all they can recreate the fineness of the human brain, but also if they could like have this permanent store of electricity that doesn't dissipate, because our electricity it dissipates over our lifetime. Well, it doesn't dissipate, it doesn't. We die, our body breaks down, and our physical parts break down, but our electricity is always there until it's liberated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Musk who was talking at one point about maybe this is what he meant in terms of like AI becoming like an alien life form. Because if it gets because obviously we're talking about now, plug in electricity from the mains, etc. But if you're going to if we extrapolate out like 20 years or so, 10, 20 years, especially at the rate at which things are moving at the moment. I mean, having got into this AI stuff more properly since about January and started to follow people on Twitter and all this, so I'm getting kind of like a feed that's quite full of AI news and stuff. Fuck me, the way things are advancing, it's crazy. It's almost like every few days there's a new breakthrough in a little thing, like not few weeks or months, few days. And I've only been following it for a couple of months, and already there's certain things to do with animation and sort of 3D avatars and stuff, which is sort of the thing I'm interested in, which is like improved massively since January. And now it's March, but we've got the rest of the year and then next year. And the rate at which this stuff seems to be improving is crazy. It wouldn't surprise me if you could have something approaching what we're talking about. And then, by like 2035, something like that.
Well, we've moved on from Will Smith eating pizza. Eating spaghetti in AI videos to having Gordon Ramsay now and a monkey cooking a variety of. Have you seen those Gordon Ramsay videos?
I've not seen the Gordon Ramsay
AI videos.
I might have seen it. I can't remember. I see a lot of weird stuff on Twitter these days, but a lot of these things.
Do you remember the Will Smith spaghetti videos?
I definitely remember that. Yeah, that wasn't even that long ago. Let's face it. So, yeah, I'm just trying to think. I mean, these days you can even get people have even got the ability to create these. Like either what they call them, the streamers and stuff like that. Just like fake AI streamers now, like fully look as if they're just a person sat in a room. It's just completely convincing. And you had nothing like that a year ago. And then just fast forward another year, and like the potential for this is like, I think a lot of people don't quite realize the precipice that we're standing on with this stuff. And the thing is as well, we don't really know what it's going to look like. Well, I suppose it's the same when the internet first came around. There's a lot of things you could have predicted. There's some things you could have predicted about the internet, but there's a lot of things come out of the internet that you just never would have conceived of. So it's going to be the same with this stuff. There's things that are going to happen that we can see and we can go, okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But then there's going to be loads of stuff that happens that is just going to be a surprise. And it's just going to be craziness. The next 10, 15 years plus, man, it's the technological singularity coming up.
So, on the subject of Gordon Ramsay AI videos, this one, what was this? Maybe might be a month. Oh, this is quite an old one, but 6 months ago, it's got quite a lot of views now. It's got 50,000. But I remember this series, the Gordon Ramsay series, when they literally had like a couple of hundred views, and I mean, Beer Tap has only got 2,000 subscribers, so he hasn't got an awful lot of subscribers, but he's got a lot of views. I'll just play this to see this is where AI was 6 months ago. Let's see if that. Hang on, let's see if this works. Play. This is Gordon Ramsay in China, so you can imagine. Well,
yeah, I have seen these actually. I remember these now.
Yeah, it's usually these things. Oh, there are cats there. Okay, yeah, okay. So yeah, usually these things end in explosions of rice or pasta or something. But
yeah, I remember those. I mean, yeah, I can see it's come on since then. I wish I could find let me find the examples.
Yeah, we've moved on from Will Smith in giant buckets of spaghetti. So yeah, and this was 6 months ago. So I guess I'm kind of out of the loop with the latest AI creators creating stuff. Yeah.
But the thing is, what you've got to remember as well is there's more and more people getting into it, so it's becoming more and more competitive. And the whole thing is about speed, trying to do things as fast as possible. Who's going to make the next breakthrough? It's hyper competitive, and that's just going to drive the innovation. That's just going to make the innovation quicker and quicker. So you're going to start seeing a lot of things over the next few years coming out. That's just going to be like mind-boggling.
That duck's still alive, you know. Yeah, man, it's dead, flipping horrible, really. But yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to watch any more of that. It doesn't really it's just a bit weird, man. I think the first time I watched AI videos like this, I was kind of like, it's like a nightmare. It's like experiencing or a dream, and it's kind of like it's a bit sort of. It almost makes you kind of trip out a bit, but then you get used to it. It's like virtual reality. The first time you use virtual reality, you feel physically like nauseous with the movement, but you get used to it. Like the human brain will get used to anything.
I think what's going to happen in the future, I was actually literally talking to someone yesterday about this. I think what will happen, you mentioned virtual reality there. I think you'll be able to essentially, I don't see any reason why, looking at what we can do now in terms of prompting and coding and stuff like this, like, you know, the way it works generally when they make videos is they just write these prompts and they prompt the AI, the software to follow the prompt sort of thing. So what that will get to in the future is you'll just be able to prompt a software to create like a world that you can then go into in virtual reality. So you just sort of have you'll just be able to kind of like create blah, 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 I don't know, some forest somewhere, blah, 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 whatever. And then you put your virtual reality headset on, and then you can go into that world that you created and navigate it. You'll be able to get stuff like that, I reckon, fairly soon. Like within our lifetime, for sure, I would say.
Yeah, there's not really any reason to stop it, is there? But the thing is, it's like I notice more and more articles online, and even news articles are written by AI, and you can just tell because they kind of like they're really boring, and they don't have that human. They don't have the writer's flair, and you never quite find the article. The headline of the article never quite fits with what the story actually says. There's never any sort of key important pertinent fact. And there's a lot of the media producers are now using AI just to produce bland, boring articles with exciting headlines, but with the actual the article itself doesn't really contain any information. doesn't relate to the headline in particular.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's not got the legs, though. I mean, like, people are doing that because it's obviously the easier thing to do. It's an easy thing to do, but that's not really got legs as things get better and better. People aren't going to, go for that. Fuck was that? Some weirdos outside, sorry. It's not got the legs. It's just, it's not, people won't be going for that in the future sort of thing. AI will get better at writing stuff like that. That'll just get phased out. This is why Grok is good, though. Grok is kind of got a bit more of a personality to it as opposed to like ChatGPT or the other ones. There's just so much stuff coming out at the moment. I don't know if you've seen the latest sort of stuff that's from Google. They're doing a lot of mad stuff in terms of like their image editing and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's craziness. Keeping up appearances, I think.
Oh, can you see that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay. This is crazy because this one actually has, I think it has an AI soundtrack created. Yeah, it does, with lyrics. So this is Keeping Up Appearances, which, as we know, that's Beer Tap again. He's one of the
I used to watch. Yeah, I've seen this loads of times.
But this shouldn't get us copyright strike, I don't think particularly, but it's actually got an AI written song about all the characters from Keeping Up Appearances. So I just played this for a couple of minutes. Just have a look at this. This one's quite kind of funny.
They call me Rockets, like I'm made of rust, but my name's a fortress, and I trust on the bouquets. West out so high in the small town, I'm reaching for the sky. Don't call me Rockets, can't you see I'm Hyacinth? The royal decree, dressed in lace, but I'm fierce as fire. Keeping up appearances, no one desire. Crystal glasses, silver lace, but behind my smile there's a darker face. No more whispers, no more lies. In my China kingdom, I'll rise and rise. Crystal glasses, silver and lace, but behind my smile there's a darker face. No more whispers, no more lies. In my China kingdom, I'll rise and rise. I'm not a bucket, no common trash. I'm royalty. I've got style.
So yeah, you get the idea. For some reason, there's a fixation with Gordon Ramsay in these things. I don't quite know why. What it's sort of kind of like how it was Will Smith like a year ago. It's now Gordon Ramsay. So,
well, how do people's minds come? In fact, I shouldn't question that because my mind comes up with some mad stuff. But like, yeah, it's interesting humans' minds, isn't it? Kind of like to think to mash these two together. Do you know what I mean? Keeping Up Appearances. I thought, I'll just have like Gordon Ramsay appearing everywhere, and Hyacinth Bouquet, stroke bucket, turning into Gordon Ramsay. It's like the creativity of humans sometimes is interesting.
I mean, literally, yeah, and there's always like something exploding. Like there's always, I don't quite know why that is. It's like it's almost as if the AI kind of reaches a level of the program, the algorithm that it's running, kind of can no longer contain itself. So something has to explode. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's unstable, and then it gets so unstable that the popcorn that whoever's eating in this video just has to explode everywhere. It happens in all the other kitchen videos, and the Gordon Ramsay, something always explodes everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like, it's quite. I don't think we've seen like a full. In fact, you know what? I don't even know if that's what I was about to say. I was going to say like you don't really see any like long length AI videos, but I don't know if that's actually accurate. But when you see AI videos, they tend to be super short, and I think it's because generally it is still quite unstable, as you're saying. There probably are long.
Yeah, I don't think they can. And obviously they're edited, so you can almost see the point at which they've edited because the things become unstable and it just generates nonsense, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, you can still see a lot of the little mistakes and stuff in them. So Well, the thing is, it's improving so fast that, like, in about a year's time, it will be borderline perfect. And it kind of gets dangerous because, you know, you don't know what's real or not. If you're just seeing a picture of something or just seeing a video of something, unless it's very obvious, you know, like this is, that it's not real, you know, that's going to get tricky potentially. People not being able to discern between what the AI is and what was actually real.
Well, it's quite alarming because the potential for weaponized use of this is that, you know, yeah, you could be watching sort of what you think is a normal TV show or something, and then like an episode of Coronation Street or something, and then it turns into some kind of like subliminal brainwashing thing, or everyone in Albert Square suddenly rips off their human faces and reveals that they're aliens, and it would scare the shit out of a few old ladies, and they'd probably have heart attacks, and they wouldn't know what was real anymore. And I bet there's a big temptation to completely mess with people's minds by using AI, you know, to sort of, you know, to get them into a false sense of security watching something familiar, and then to sort of pull the rug out from under them and show them something completely insane, which would just make them lose their mind instantly, you know? Because like I said, when I initially started watching AI videos, it's like you enter almost like a state where you think you're dreaming or something. It's like, oh my God, this is like a dream. And it takes a bit of self-control to think, oh yeah, it's just, because it's a bit sort of disorientating, to be honest. But if you're a sort of weaker-willed person and you're sort of lulled into watching something you think is familiar, and then it just becomes completely psychedelic or psychotic or evil, it would just like flip you over the edge, I think.
It would amaze me if the powers that be hadn't thought of some use of it similar to that, some way to use it to do subliminal mischief. Because, I mean, there's no way in this world, like, knowing how powerful it is, how powerful it's likely to become, the more nefarious parts of the upper echelons will, you know, be having ideas about what to do with it, you know, in a nefarious way. So, yeah, that is a real danger, I think. It's sort of why it needs to be sort of heavily regulated. But even then, you know, if you're high enough up, like, who the fuck cares about regulations?
Well, this is one of those things that I've always said Hollywood movies try and achieve. I've always said that certain movies are kind of, they act as initiations, and an initiation, what I would consider as like a sort of, in the ancient world, an initiation was that you would see something performed in front of you, and it would make you change your sense of reality, or it would be so shocking, or you wouldn't know what you were seeing, or it would be so strange and uncanny, and it'd make you question reality. And I mean, the whole sort of idea of a movie was, and the whole thing about watching a movie and experiencing catharsis, I think it's that Aristotelian concept, and it goes back to the ancient mystery religions, which is where they actually performed a kind of show, and often it possibly involved sex and nudity and, you know, actual intercourse, congress of the gods and things they called it. But there's actually several movies that actually in history historically have kind of tried to unsettle the viewer and reshape their reality. So, like, have you seen that movie Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
I mean,
a while ago.
Yeah. So when you're watching a movie, you're kind of in the dark. You're kind of you adopt the role of the main character. So you see the movie through their eyes. And in Vanilla Sky, you know, you sort of you think, okay, this kind of Chad is living a life. But then things start to happen, and reality starts to break down around him, and you're sort of questioning it yourself, because you're watching a film, your suspension of disbelief has been deactivated, because there's this whole science behind the way the retina receives the light from the screen, creates a state of suggestibility. I think it's called an alpha trance. So if you're in this state of suggestibility, and in the Vanilla Sky, there is a moment where they just pull the rug out from under you, where so-called text. The story is that, in fact, he's not really in a real world. He's in a sort of artificial environment, and he's been cryogenically frozen. Do you remember the whole story there?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. It's like, as you're describing it, I do kind of remember it, but I saw it probably, God, I have no idea, a very long time ago.
So as the world gets weirder and weirder around him, there's this moment where somebody in the restaurant turns to him and says, "This," and he thinks this is a normal world, and he says, "This is," and then suddenly everyone stops. Everyone in the restaurant stops talking, and this one man addresses him and says something like, "This is your reality. You can do whatever you want. These people are at your command." And it's like that kind of moment where you thought it was real, and you were watching along and assuming the role of Tom Cruise's character, and suddenly it's like the guy is addressing you in the audience, and they're trying to. That's the intention of these movies, is to undermine, not just tell a story, but to create a change in your consciousness. And then the weird thing about that movie is, it's very weird, is that what happens is, it turns out that his girlfriend crashed his car, and he ended up having an accident, and he doesn't remember any of this, and he's been cryogenically frozen so he can recover from his injuries. And meanwhile, he's been enrolled in this program of artificial reality, which he has to go through. But in order to escape from the artificial reality and sort of log out, he has to throw himself off a tall building. It's really, really creepy. So he has to actually literally throw himself off. And this so-called tech support is this kind of smarmy, suave guy who's always advising him and saying, yeah. And of course, at the end, he throws himself off the building and apparently wakes up in the authentic reality. But when you actually look at that movie, and the story involves having sort of delusions, seeing things, hearing things that aren't there, not knowing what, losing your sense of reality as the character does, and then finally being told that the way to solve this is to throw yourself off a tall building. Well, one of the principal causes of suicide of schizophrenics is throwing themselves off high buildings and high places. And it just makes me wonder that is there more to that than meets the eye? That is, because if you're suggestible and you're watching this movie and then suddenly you think, oh, this explains my delusions. This world isn't real. I'm living in an artificial reality. And then this movie tells you that the solution is to throw yourself off a tall building. Well, you might well do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just reminds me, I don't know if you remember me, I think maybe it was the first stream that we did. I told you the story about, there was a guy who so in my previous job, I used to work at a place which took phone calls from patients in mental health crises. So, imagine all kinds of different things you could get on the phone. But one time, the guy rang up saying he was suicidal, but it wasn't because of some, I don't know, relationship issue or family problem or money problem or whatever. It was because he felt that this reality wasn't real, or he felt that the next reality was the real one, and he wanted to just go and see what that was like.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And I spent about half an hour on the phone with this guy. He was fine in the end. He had no serious plans. He had no serious plans to do anything. And yeah, I mean, and I suppose also quite fortunately he gets me, who's, let's say into that kind of thing. So I can obviously have a bit of a better, more informed chat with him than one of the other staff. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but it was an interesting perspective because you could kind of you could get where he was coming from in a way, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying that I would think that myself. I'm just saying that, if somebody's saying they want to kill themselves because of a relationship breakthrough, it's like, oh, God's sake, this kind of thing, it seems a bit trite. Not that I'm sort of having a go at people who do it, but it just, what he was saying was something a bit different. It was a bit of a different perspective on it, a bit of a different way of looking at it. So yeah, interesting. It's interesting. I've never ever spoken to anyone like that. I've worked in psychiatry for say, this August, I think it's 20 years now. I've never heard anyone say that before since speaking to that guy.
It reminds me of the Cathars. You know, apparently, I don't know. I mean, I know a bit about the Cathars, but apparently, like, suicide was sacred to sort of several of these sort of mystical orders of Christianity. You know, that they saw this world as a prison. I mean, that's often the Gnostic sort of position, that this world is a kind of prison of your mind and your soul. I mean, there's no way I'm actually sort of obviously sort of say the S. We shouldn't even say the S word because it's quite a sensitive thing, isn't it? But I have heard this sort of idea of, that the Cathars believed in this idea that, you know, of escaping this world, that we were trapped here by an evil god, which of course I don't believe that. I mean, it's not my belief. It's everything's here for. I mean, I'm not one of these people who believe we're trapped in a matrix, like the David Icke thing. Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of like a bit of a delusion. I think if anything, we're sort of here to learn and improve our sort of soul. You know, that's my idea of it.
Yeah, there definitely seems to be that element to life, isn't it? I mean, most of the people there are some people who get successful sort of on accident, but for the most part, the people who are the most successful in life are people who've generally been through quite a lot. If you talk to some of the people who've like been successful in business or whatever, like they've not generally had like an easy life prior, or it doesn't have to be business, whatever. It could be successful in whatever endeavor. But yeah, a lot of the time they have this kind of checkered past, like the idea being that, you know, you go through experiences, you learn, you grow. So yeah, man, I think that's totally valid.
I've just looked it up, and the Cathars ritual S word, we'll say, because it's one of those sensitive words. It's apparently called I think it's believed it was people who were apparently already close to death, but I think some of these ideas have changed. But it would be a kind of like that Swiss procedure where somebody is like, you know, like really ill, and they have sort of
euthanasia.
Yeah, sort of that. Yeah, where they would just the Cathars, when they were sort of at a certain age, or they would just stop eating apparently and only drink cold water, and this would result in death. But there's not a lot known in the Cathars really, because everything was destroyed. So all of the records of them were destroyed. So it's a lot of guesswork what really went on. But yeah, they had that belief that that we're in a kind of the prison, and an evil god has kind of enchained our souls here. Yeah.
I mean, you could see it as being kind of boxed.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you could see it as being kind of a little bit boxed in compared to what, a higher dimension of reality would look like. But, I mean, otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't call it a prison necessarily.
Well, you often hear about people who have near-death experiences, don't you, or actual death experiences, and they're told that they have to come back, and they really don't want to. And the feeling of peace and liberation and joy and love and wonder that they feel out, in the spiritual state upon their death, and they're told to return to their body. And frequently they feel like they've been cramped into this human form, and all of their sort of everything that was, expansive and amazing has just been sort of squeezed in, like squeezed into a human body, and they find it really oppressive having had that experience and then returning to Earth. Have you heard much about sort of near-death experiences? I spent a long time actually just watching loads of videos about that stuff.
I did, when I was a bit younger, I watched more about it. I mean, I haven't really looked at anything more recent times, but yeah, I mean, I was, I did watch a lot of people's sort of accounts and stuff of what happens and all that. So yeah, it's interesting.
So yeah. There was a few things you wanted to talk about in particular. So I think one of them, I'll show you if I can just let's just see if I can slickly screen share, which I don't think I can, but let's just I should get a bit faster on this. Faster on the draw. Here we are. The flying triangle meme. So you wanted to. So this one. Do you remember this one from the History Channel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's slightly like a kind of ridiculous sort of meme. But
I just noticed there's a guy with a camel there as well. Is that a guy with a camel? Have we got a guy with a camel there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Just a nice little touch.
But you said there was something in the news about the pyramids this week or last week.
Yeah, so they did they call the find a vast underground city, which it doesn't really look like a city, but it's like these big, tall, cylindrical shafts that are like apparently about 2,000 feet deep. Bear in mind, a pyramid is about 500 feet high, so they're quite a lot bigger, longer than the pyramids. And yeah, so there's people saying about this a lot, and it's kind of interesting because we know the historical kind of like ideas about there being a mothership and all this kind of stuff. People are going to start saying now that that's the sort of power that, that kind of like powered the pyramids somehow, and then the ship gets the power somehow. I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting. You need a bit better imagery though of these things. So I don't know. Can they do a dig there or something? Get people digging there and see what they find.
Well, in the Great Pyramid, there's already a subterranean shaft. In any case, which goes I don't know, some 20 meters, 30 meters into the bedrock. So I don't know how that relates to that subterranean. Yeah, I don't know how that relates to this. I
don't know. I mean, maybe if these things are just cylinders, maybe that's just a part that doesn't go into a cylinder. I suppose that could be a case. But yeah, I don't know. It's a crazy thing. Like people are calling it like a big exaggeration and all this kind of stuff. I mean, but this is why you need like a second opinion, isn't it? You need like a second team to come in and do the same research and see what they find.
So I don't know how that relates to the subterranean shaft of the Great Pyramid. Yeah, because there's this. You see this as a sort of. There's actually something built into the bedrock. The whole thing of the pyramids is, of course, incredibly weird.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you got an image, or can you get an image up of what you're referring to? So, I'll be honest, I didn't hear about it. Where was it reported?
I just saw it all over my Twitter feed, and there was lots of people weighing in on it and talking about it. I'm not sure where it originally was reported from. Everyone said, we just try and find out one from before.
There's Daily Mail have got a thing. Scientists say they've discovered a vast city, and that was like yesterday or something.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Oh, yeah, I've got it here. So okay, these pillars. That's pretty weird. Yeah, I'll actually have a look at that. Hang on, see if I can host this, because that is weird. Yeah, that's because that image you showed me before. This is actually, I think it's a little bit, somewhat more detailed. All
right, yeah, go for it. I haven't seen one better than that. So.
Oh, hang on. Oh, you got it. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the. That's pretty odd, right? Is it? If I scroll up, is it scrolling up too? Right? Does it track?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, yeah. So scientists say they've discovered a vast city underneath Egypt's Giza pyramids, but experts raise concerns. That is super weird. A groundbreaking discovery. Italian researchers.
The bad thing about it for me is that I guess because it's sort of still a bit unverified, but it's a bit crazy that it's not. You don't see it on the news. I know this is the Daily Mail. I think isn't it? That we're reading from, but I don't know. It's not like it's been on the. It's not really been on the TV news and stuff like that, as far as I'm aware. But
8 vertical cylinder-shaped structures extending 2,000 feet. Now, my first thought is it could be like a natural. Geological anomaly. Well, I don't know. It could be, but that's that work? Because that sounds in 2,000 feet. That is bizarre. Thing is, the pyramids are weird already, aren't they? So it's like if something just weirder happens around the pyramids, no one's surprised. But so that is pretty interesting, man.
It definitely needs another like team to go in and do their own thing, because at the moment you just got one sort of there's a couple of Italian guys.
2,000 feet. So what's that? 700 meters. So it's like nearly the height. Well, not quite. Oh gosh, it's more than the height of the Eiffel Tower, for instance, because that's like 300.
That's the height of 4 pyramids.
Ah, that is weird. Ah man, I don't know what to think of that. What do you think of it? You would just wait for more information, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I mean, look, I've never, as much as I've like been interested in that kind of thing, I've never gone into such a deep dive about it. But yeah, listen, it's going to play into the hands of all the people who think that there's like a city underground, isn't it? Maybe this leads down to the city where the underground dwellers are.
Malanga is a ufologist. And so the work by Corrado Malanga for the University of Pisa in Italy, and 2 others, one from Scotland, and Philip with the University of Scotland, apparently 2 others. But it's the ufologist thing, isn't there? So that's always I don't know if that necessarily discounts it, but it just sort of it must be aliens then. I don't know.
Yeah, we've got to get someone else in to do the same research. Who's not? I didn't know they were ufologists. Actually, I missed that bit. All right. That does make it.
Biondi he specializes in radar technology, and the other one apparently knows all about pre-DNS. So only one of them apparently is a ufologist. Yeah, it's pretty wacky, interesting. Looks like some kind of North Sea oil rig in that image, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I mean, the images will just get better over time, but yeah, they need to sort of like dig there or something. I don't know.
A vast underground city. I think that's a little bit maybe overstating it. Cylinder-shaped structures were arranged in 2 parallel rows, surrounded by descending spiral pathways. That seems, I don't know. I just say, don't know. That's all you can say, really, isn't it?
Keep looking, see what else you can find, isn't it? Like if you're them doing the research, they should just keep looking, see if there's anything else that's around that or whatever.
So this all went on X before it came out in the mainstream press. Actually, it's quite interesting, isn't it? So this only came out in the mail yesterday, but as you said, it's been doing the rounds of X all week. So it's the media, the mainstream media reporting on. Wow, I mean, you can't call it fringe theories because there's actually 2 reputable research establishments involved here. It's Pisa University and Strathclyde University. So
yeah, it's an interesting one. So watch this space one.
Fake news, a lot of cynicism in the comments. Anunnaki power station. Yeah, he gets it. Yeah. I hope they don't wake up the lizard people. Comments are good, man. Worth it for the comments, these stories, man. The planet Planet Earth was a fuel depot for interplanetary travel. The ships would come here and refuel and leave, basically a giant truck stop. Eventually, Mother Nature made it impossible to sustain. Everybody left. The stuff is way older than anyone thinks. The fuel was this guy is probably serious. He's got 5 upvotes and 1 downvote. Oh man. So that's fun. No scientists were involved with this nonsense, apparently. Someone's actually saying they're not scientists, but I don't know.
What was the professor? Yeah, there's a radar expert. I mean,
yeah, apparently. Professor Lawrence Conyers, radar expert, University of Denver. Oh, hang on. He's actually debunked it. Now I look at it. He's actually the professor they've cited. He says it's actually not possible for the technology to penetrate that deeply into the ground. So he's saying that you actually can't, you measure that deep down. So whatever these guys are doing. Interesting. What Corrado Malanga from University of Pisa doesn't have a doctorate. Not that that necessarily matters, but because nor do I. But none of them do. So maybe So they cited the expert, and he says it's like kind of nonsense. But he said what you said. He said the only way to prove would be targeted excavations, which is just what you said. So yeah.
So what else would you do? I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the situation is legally around that area, because I know that obviously the pyramids are very protected and stuff. But yeah, do it if you can. I mean, why not? If you can do it, if you're allowed to do it, do it.
Yes. Anything else? How's your AI research going? You're
the research is good.
Conversation with an AI, aren't you?
Yeah, because the research is good. I mean, we've got pretty much everything in place in terms of the plan and the strategy, all this kind of stuff. I just need to get all the various components which are going to help me in terms of like tech and software and stuff. So that's something I'm going to sort out over the next couple of weeks or so, and then I should be good to actually start creating something. So yeah, so far so good.
What do you make of the Gene Hackman story? Have you heard that? That's still going.
See, I have heard that, but I didn't get into that. I kept sort of meaning to look into it a bit more and never did. Like, there's some, remind me what it was. This, was it they both died on the same night? Was it?
No. His wife apparently died a week before he did.
All right, that's it. Yeah.
He has Alzheimer's. She died of something called the hantavirus, which is apparently. According to the pathologist, the pathologist herself seemed to be under a great deal of emotional stress when she was delivering the news, and it's very strange. The body language and her eyes and everything. She was like she was uncomfortable with what she was saying, as if she was lying and saying something that wasn't true. But hantavirus is a virus that's transmitted through rat droppings. So his wife apparently died of hantavirus a week before him. And because Gene Hackman apparently suffers from Alzheimer's disease, the theory is he was wandering around the house, the villa, for a week, and apparently had not noticed that his wife had died somehow.
Right.
And he died of a heart attack or a stroke or something. And then the dog also died, presumably. I think they had been the bodies of the two were not found for maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and by which time they were apparently mummified because of the dry conditions, whatever mummification might mean. But it's a very strange story. I mean, the conspiracy theory is, though, is it Randy Quaid, the Star Whacker guy? Randy Quaid.
Yeah.
You remember that? Is it Randy Quaid?
Yeah.
Yeah, his theory is then that, yes, Randy Quaid. He's because these Hollywood stars, especially Gene Hackman, he's made so many international blockbuster movies that his Hollywood residuals, are in like tens of millions, if not more. They are these sort of perpetual royalty checks that they'll always receive, and because his residuals are so high and excessive, that Randy Quaid said he was whacked so that the Hollywood studios or whatever could save money on paying him his royalties and such. That's the conspiracy theory, anyway.
That would make sense,
Yeah,
that definitely makes sense. I mean, maybe they didn't even plan it. Maybe when they learned, hang on a second. So nobody. Actually, no, I don't know. Then I was going to say maybe they sort of found out his wife had died and then took their chance, but then I realized that they were both found at the same time. So that's irrelevant. So never mind.
Well, she died like a week before him, and he apparently hadn't noticed or something because he was in such a state of,
Yeah, if he had like proper advanced foresight, that's perfectly plausible. Yeah. It's mad, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But then the thing is, how on earth do you get hantavirus? I mean, how do you get exposed to eating.
Well,
How do you absorb rat droppings? I mean, you know what I mean. It's not necessarily easy to, unless you've been poisoned.
I mean, I was about to say, if someone somehow spikes your food, I don't know. But then, how would that happen exactly?
So yeah, it just goes to show that. I mean, imagine having all that kind of that's being a star like that, right? All your life, and just ending in such a pitiable state, just such a dreadful state,
Yeah, I mean, it's you can't really get your head into the mind. Obviously, you can't really fully get your head into what it must be to be in that mindset. Just like it's so difficult to understand what it must be like to have sort of like constantly forgotten things and not even realize that the woman that you live with has died. It's really, you can't really imagine what it must be like. It's impossible. It's a crazy illness.
So yeah, have you anything else from this week, this crazy week on planet Earth that sort of piqued your interest?
Well, just you know what, like the way that the news cycle is, it's like there's so many things that happen every day, and there's so many people who are kind of like acting like journalists now and stuff on social media. Don't you find that like you're just sort of bombarded with news? So there probably was, but I've probably forgotten because there's just so much bombardment of different stories these days. Like, oftentimes you forget some of the funnier ones or whatever. But yeah, man. I mean, how about you? What stuck out for you this week, if anything?
Well, I don't know. I don't really. I mean, I didn't really hear about the pyramid thing on X. I don't really get exposed to a lot of news. The only thing I really sort of follow is Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And I think, did you not? What about the setting fire and the arson to the Teslas, Tesla trucks?
That's so funny, man, isn't it? Because these stupid ass Democrats are setting fire to cars that are majoritively owned by Democrats. If you look statistically, Democrats own Teslas 4-1 versus Republicans 4-1. So most likely they're setting fire to their own side's cars. It's so fucking stupid.
These guys are just completely crazy. I mean, it's like it's a kind of winnowing operation. It's like the wheat and the chaff are sort of being quite easily sorted. And I mean, I don't know, anyone who's left wing now, they must be mad. It's like there's no longer politics. It's like it's ideology and insanity, and it's sort of self-delusion and mental illness. It's not about compassion anymore. Left being a lefty used to mean you were compassionate, right, about the poor, but it's not about that anymore, is it? It's about it's about things we can't really talk about on YouTube, like sort of we say sort of surgical operations on children and such like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and all this kind of gender fluidity, right, and all this stuff. It seems to be like, how's that compassionate? And weird it is, man.
I mean, it's with the Teslas as well. It's not just arson; it's all the kind of weird, childish, dirty, weird things they were doing as well. Not realizing that there's cameras on the Teslas, and you kind of think to yourself, it's not making Democrats look better, and therefore, why aren't there any Democrats who are sort of prominent? Your AOCs, flirting with the leadership and all this. Why don't any of them, who are always out there in the public eye, always out there on social media saying stuff, why don't they condemn it? It's not helpful to their party to have people seeing, people going to the bathroom on Teslas and stuff like this, and of course the arson. So, why don't condemn it? Like, what's wrong with these people? They haven't learned. It just goes to show you how kind of like mid IQ, if that the party is, like they haven't learned from what failed them for the election, and so they're just almost like doubling down on the same stuff.
Are these people organic robots? Have you heard about organic robots? Yeah,
absolutely. There's There's it's a certain type as well, if you notice from the most of the protests and things that you see around that. Is a certain type that sort of like middle class white woman sort of protester type, you know. So these people have a lot to answer for.
They used to call them organic portals as well. Do you remember that sort of terminology from them? What they call them NPCs now, don't they? Non-player characters.
Yeah,
you know that one, yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea that yeah, go on.
No, you are. No, I was going to say, like, are they totally non-playing? But then, having said that, no, they are, aren't they? They're definitely. So, they're just the people that you'd have in the crowd. Like, if you're playing the game and you know there's a crowd, it's those type of people, isn't it?
But like the idea is like they don't kind of have any autonomy or volition, and they don't really know what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and then you totally see this when they're questioned because they fall apart. They can't answer sort of basic questions, logic-based questions, and then because their programming hasn't sort of prepared them for that, they don't know where to go. They get lost. And so, they don't answer.
Sorry, my mic's just gone super loud. What happened? Oh, gee, shouldn't touch this thing too much.
I must say, actually, this week the mic, in terms of your, remember, I think the last time we did it, there was some background noise with your mic. Like maybe moving around or whatever. This week it's been a lot better. So I don't know what setting you've got it on in the end this week. That's better than last week for sure.
I'm literally just holding it in my hand, you know. And so I'm still moving around, but it's like the mic's on a gimbal, and the gimbal is my hand keeping it level. So
okay.
But it is, it's like you mentioned, like Benny Johnson. I like watching Benny Johnson on YouTube. He's like a Trump guy, you know. And he's always saying that when you start to talk to these Democrats or these liberals, and you try and make a sustained argument, all they say at the end is no, and that's all they can do. And then they'll just deny reality, and then their whole reality, they have nothing. They have no constructive reality. They just have no. And it ends with them just saying no. That's all they can do. It's like the core of them is this sort of negation of reality somehow, you know.
Yeah, it's all in the it's a cultish thing, isn't it? It's all in the program. You know,
it's like
I think also
everyone's like that around in London. You know what I mean?
Certainly increased recently.
So many, man.
Not in my area because they're just not. There's just not many of that type around here. But yeah, let's put it this way: my area is a very hyper diverse area. Let's put it that way.
But it basically is an invasion of the body snatchers. This is what they warned us about in those B movies of the 50s.
Did you see? Man, I wish I could. Where did I see it? I saw a funny video. It was a bunch of them that were protesting outside a Tesla garage, and a guy was just sort of walking around them. And they were just doing weird things to him and weird dances around him and stuff. It was just the most bizarre thing. Like,
can you bring it up? It's on YouTube. Shall I look for it?
I can't remember where I saw it. It was on YouTube. I can't remember what the site was or the person who.
What is it? Tesla dealership? Was it or something?
Yeah, it must be on there. So yeah, Tesla dealership or Tesla garage. Protesters, maybe.
Protesters. Just see if I can get it up.
Tesla garage protesters, US, maybe.
Protesters gather outside Tesla showroom 6 days ago. CNN. Would it be that one or?
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. Not sure if they have the actual footage, but that is the one. Yeah, that is the one, definitely.
Let's see if I'll just share the screen and see if you can see it.
It'd be funny if you could find it because there's this old guy and he just so weird. He's dancing.
I'd like to see this actually. I'm curious.
He's trying to taunt the guy and dance. He's trying to taunt him through dance, and it's just bizarre.
Is it?
We're hearing.
Is it like this one?
Very often here.
Does that look?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember the girl presenting.
Let's try something. Protest target Tesla dealerships 2 weeks ago, or was it recently?
Yeah, they were calling it Dance Against Doge. That's what they were
Oh,
calling it.
right. Dance Against Doge.
I wonder if that'll bring anything else.
Yeah. Gonna have a look. Anti-Doge protesters demonstrate outside of Tesla. Was it 19 hours ago? Was it recent? Was it like yesterday?
Yeah. It's quite recent.
Okay,
I think it was the day before.
this one.
Hang on, 1 second.
Buy a Tesla. Elon Musk with Doge is kicking ass. Doge, baby, go Doge.
Maybe. No, I don't think it is this one. No.
They poor Elon immediately. There's the Trump.
Their signs are proper.
There's a pro-Trump guy. Yeah,
But you know what I mean? Even though this isn't the one, you can kind of see what I mean. With it's a certain demographic, isn't it? It's a certain type of person. It's not massively diverse.
Make America great. Okay. Did you ever see that Trump guy who kind of trolls Robert De Niro in his own home? That's so funny.
No.
Have you seen that guy?
No, what's that?
I will just stick that because that always gives me a chuckle. Trump impersonator. He's trolling De Niro. It's so funny. I mean, what do you think of De Niro these days, anyway?
How old is he now? He's like 82 or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's like in his 80s now, isn't he?
He's kind of lost his way, I think, hasn't he? But it's like this is quite funny. I'll put this one on if we can see that. If that's sharing. Here we go.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
I can't get the volume. What happened to the volume? Can't hear it.
Oh, yeah, because De Niro was like kind of outspoken, wasn't he, about him?
Oh, here we go. Stick the volume up full. Here we go.
Bobby, your favorite president / Time Magazine Person of the Year. I want to talk to you. You haven't made a good movie in over 20 years. I want a small cameo in Meet the Fockers 6. Together, we can make movies great again. Believe me, Bobby, believe me. I just want to talk to you. Just a nice little conversation, right? That's right. Okay. So I guess Bobby wasn't home, but I'm going to leave him with a little party gift. My new fragrance, Fight, Fight, Fight. It's a great Christmas gift along with a cameo from yours truly. Merry Christmas from Donald Trump. Hello, sir. What's that? I'm not supposed to what? Okay, that's okay. That's okay. You can call the police if you want, okay?
There's a funny one where he appears, this same troll. He appears with like a black actor, and the actor claims to be his Robert De Niro's illegitimate son, but I think that's Huh?
I think I might have seen that one actually. I remember that. That rings a bell for sure.
That was quite funny, but
I unfortunately can't find any like of these dancers, and I have deleted my history in one of the things I was trying to do to get audio to work before. So I can't seem to find these dancing people. Unfortunately, which is a shame.
This one is the one where the Trump impersonator actually calls out De Niro in person. We'll just put that on and finish with this, I think.
Give you, Bobby, for being such a loser about the election. It's not your fault you were born with a low IQ. It's not your fault, Bobby. Believe me. Bobby, your favorite president won. Kamala lost. She lost so strongly. You were wrong. You're a loser. You're a total loser. This show sucks. You're going to get low ratings, Bobby. You're going to get low ratings. President, I forgive you, Bobby, for being such a loser about the election.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was, I like the way he sort of like picked up the pace as well at the end and really just slammed it home.
Okay, so should we call it a show? Should we call it a wrap then?
Yeah, man. I need to get some food soon.
So all right. Well, we'll just play out with the end song, and everybody out there who may or may not be listening, Well, it's here for posterity in any case. So we'll just play out the music and we'll say goodbye, fellow humans everywhere. What do you want to say, Future Shock?
I have concluded. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. All right.
Big up to anyone who does actually listen.
Yeah, or who might be listening at some point in the future and finds this in the archaeological digital record or something, or whatever. Right?
More likely case for sure.
We'll just keep plowing on with this, okay? Because I think we'll get there, man. We'll, let's keep the faith. Yeah. All right, cool, man.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
All right, adios.
All right. Ciao. See you later.